Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks, Cheese and Quackers. My name is Lonnie G, and I am joined tonight by my two co-hosts, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good, Lonnie. How are you?
I'm doing well. And Carly, how are you, Carly?
Peachy Keen.
Oh, sweet. Tonight, Carly and Jeff are going to talk to us about their recent trip when they had Wine Bar George. I will admit I'm very excited because I have not had Wine Bar George, so I will be living vicariously through them. So, with that being said, why don't you give us a little background in regards to Wine Bar George and what led you to eat there when you went on the last trip?
Okay, well, our last trip was not our first time to Wine Bar George. We have been to Wine Bar George. I think it's like a staple in every trip now.
Hmm.
We absolutely love it. It's probably the most consistent meal that I've had on property ever. But we, when it was right after the pandemic, the very first time, I think. And so we were there for a 14-day trip and we were just trying to find different places to eat. And I love wine. Jeff is not a wine person at all. But I had watched some other reviews about Wine Bar George and I was intimidated at first because I was like, I like wine, but I'm not like a swirl the glass and be able to tell what kind of barrel it was aged in or anything like that kind of wine girl. I'm like, yep, open it up, tastes good, great. So I was intimidated, but we watched some reviews that said don't be intimidated at all. It's for everybody. They've got a sommelier, which is a fancy word for saying like a wine picker outer. Yes. And he, is there sometimes. It is George. And he's got a selection of wines that range from super expensive to pretty darn cheap that you can get. I think, honestly, we pick one up at Giant Eagle, the one that I really love there. So
that's a local grocery store.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we were just like, yeah, we need someplace new to try. It was at Disney Springs, so they're open late. We found it available on Open Table, which made it way easy because, again, sometimes snagging reservations on My Disney Experience is tough, but you can find them for Springs, especially on Open Table. And so we just went in and gave it a shot, and now it is absolutely one of our favorites.
That's awesome. Literally, I was listening to a review at some time. I guess maybe it was a trip report, and someone was talking about meeting George and how much they enjoyed it. And just like you, they were saying they're intimidated by it because there's so many different wines that you can pick from. And like you, I'm not really a wine drinker, but I would love, and I've heard great things about their food as well.
The first time when we went, again, I don't drink wine at all, but we had our waitress that was there, and she says, "What kind of wine do you like?" And kind of walk through the process with Carly, and she brought something out, and she goes, "Yeah, it's okay." And she goes, "No, we have like 200 bottles of wine here. We don't want something that's okay." And she kept bringing out samples of something to try until she found something she liked, and they worked through a process with her to do it.
Yeah, and I felt really bad at first because she brought me, I would say, 3 or 4 different tastes of different wines. And I finally got to like the point where I was embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, my palate is just not good enough to drink wine here. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. No. We're going to find a wine that you love. So, let me go and find something else. And she did. And now every time we go in, I know what wine I want. I definitely try new stuff while I'm there because, why not? But I know what I like and I can order that just as my safe bet. But in all of the servers there are trained by George as well. And he's there so often that they get to know him and they talk about him like he's just a friend. And, but he's kind of bestowed all his knowledge on them. And so they talk with all of the customers about wines and what you should be tasting and what you should pair it with and what you should try. And that was fun too. So
awesome. So tell me, like I said, I've never been there. How's the atmosphere? So you're walking in, you said it's in Disney Springs. Disney Springs is my favorite place for day one. Like when I first get there, put my luggage down, going to Disney Springs. So tell me about it. How is it, the atmosphere there? Where exactly is it in Disney Springs?
It's on the water.
It's right at the corner by Gideon's, like right across the walkway from Gideon's. So, you go and you put your name in at Gideon's for the virtual queue if they've got one, and then you go and get your dinner. But it's like right across from Boathouse, Jacques Lindsay's, Gideon's. So
that
it's
little
like
amphitheater
right in the heart. And there's always music playing at that amphitheater at night on the weekends. And Wine Bar George has all of their windows and doors wide open so that all the music from outside goes inside, and it's great. And it's 2 stories. And I know the first time we went, I was bummed because we were on the first floor, and it's a big bar right when you walk in, and then they've got tables all around it. And I was like, oh, I mean, it's cute, and it has like a street
industrial kind of.
Yeah, it's got an industrial kind of like a street restaurant feel to it. And I was like, oh, I really want to eat upstairs. So the very next time we went, we asked for a table upstairs. And I was actually like sat right in front of the window. I could look out and see all the people walking around Disney Springs. And you could look right out over top of the amphitheater and listen to the band play. And there's a bar upstairs as well. But I don't know if I would pick one or over the other. I think, both have really cool feel to it. I think upstairs feels a little more upscale, downstairs feels a little more industrial, but neither of them were intimidating like I thought they would be. It was just kind of, relaxed and laid back, not uppity, not snobby. It's just what you make it. So
I'm intrigued. I mean, that's the perfect spot. Like you said, that's prime real estate in Disney Springs. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about food, my favorite. So appetizers, did you guys get any appetizers?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
All right, what would you suggest? What did you have?
We get the mac and cheese bites. They're like little fried mac and cheese, breaded. Little bit of a kick to it. It's not spicy, but just like a little bit of like a peppery kick to it. It's served over like a little bit of a marinara sauce, which is different. I wasn't really expecting that, but it was really good. The mac and cheese bites were $13 for an order. And we also get the spiced olives, which are warm,
oh my gosh,
sauteed olives.
Yeah, there's sauteed olives, and there's green olives and Kalamata olives, and I don't know all the names of olives, but they're all amazing. The one thing that I find very awkward about eating the olives there is the fact that they still have the pits in them. And I know that, like, they tell you that in advance, and they taste so good, but putting something in your mouth and like eating the olive off of it and then spitting the seed out into a plate, just, I don't know, in public, it makes me feel awkward, but it doesn't stop me from getting them every time because they're super good. They are $8. And they're made with like lemon and a chili powder and some other seasonings. And they're so good. Darn it.
They do have a lot of other appetizers. We haven't ventured out to the other ones because we're kind of set in our habit of what we order. But I know they have a lot of charcuterie boards that people like a lot, and they are huge. We had friends that went with us marathon weekend, and that's all they ordered was the giant charcuterie board. And there was plenty of cheeses and meats and different things on that, like crackers and
it's called a saganaki, and maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. Saganaki on fire, and it's this like cheese with crostinis that they put out, and then they light it on fire at your table. And I want to get it so bad, but I don't like cheese really that well. Just to throw it on some bread, I don't know. But
we've never heard
of that. Is cheese and crackers.
Right, exactly. Boom. How can it be bad?
Good, I did. Good deal.
We always
appetizers. You definitely recommend the mac and cheese.
Absolutely.
The olives. Just be bold with it. Spit out the pits. But we forgot one thing. So, what did you drink, Carly? You said you found a wine that you really liked. What is it?
So I do dinner with. It's a jam jar red, and it is so good. It's the one that I can find at Giant Eagle. But it's like, it's
Shiraz, sweet Shiraz.
Yeah, it's a sweet Shiraz wine. It's fairly cheap. So, I don't feel like I'm splurging crazy and emptying my bank account for a glass of wine, though they definitely have those that you can do. And I'm pretty sure I was trying to check out their menu because I know that they also have like wines on tap, and then they have experiences that you can do, but there was something that you can get wines by like an ounce. So
Some of
if
the
I
you
can
higher
go
want
and
to
you can
try,
sample a bunch of different kinds.
these are like the high-end dry
yeah.
wines.
So these
Oh,
are like $100 for an ounce.
yeah. I respectfully decline that offer. That wine.
But I mean, I think you get several for the $100. I'm not sure. They were like, yeah, you can, taste by the ounce. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't like wines that well to spend that kind of cash on them, but they've got something for everybody. So you're never really feeling like you're out of your element. About halfway through the meal, when we're like done with dinner, but not quite ready for dessert, I get a Froscato, which is a pineapple Dole Whip, vodka, and Moscato mixed drink. So it's like a slushy Dole Whip with alcohol in it.
That sounds phenomenal.
It
I
is
would have that.
so good. So good. And the I don't know what hack here would be, even if you don't go eat at Wine Bar George, they
They have a
have
walk-up
the
window.
to-go walk-up window, and they sell the Froscatos down there. And if you get one of their corksicle mugs, and they always have corksicle wine glasses, and I think it's not bad.
Like
It was like
$25 or
$25 or $30, depending which one you choose. They've had Darth Vader designed ones in the
Spider-Man,
past,
Captain America.
Spider-Man, all kinds of cool ones. But then you can get a discount on
Your refills.
Oh,
So we always, hit that window, and then we hit homecoming. And so he'll have his, carry around cup of moonshine, and I'll have my carry around cup of Froscato. And yeah, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
that does sound fantastic. So okay. You sign. Marathon weekend's coming up,
Right. And we haven't even talked food yet.
that's my next
actual
question.
food.
I'm like, what do we have? We have the appetizers. Now I need to know some food. What's the main entree? What should I get?
We, as a family, will split the skirt steak dinner. It is $76. It is feeds 2 to 4, so 3 of us usually can't finish it. But basically, you have broccolini or broccoli on one side, or asparagus. Sometimes it kind of depends. It varies from time to time.
They're seasonal veggies.
And then on the other side is like little roasted potatoes. And then on top of that is a whole thing of skirt steak with chimichurri sauce on it, or chimichurri just drizzled across the whole thing.
It is a platter that's as big as my forearm. Like, I would say, like 18-inch long platter.
Yeah, we'll have pictures.
Filled with steak. I'll throw pictures up, but it's so good. And it has been, I'm very picky about steak. I have weird eating issues. I don't like to eat steak, and right? I know we've talked about all of them. I don't like to eat steak that has fat on it, because whenever I get that sensation that I'm chewing a rubber band, I'm like, ugh, and I can't eat anymore. I'll get grossed out. There is hardly any fat on that steak, but it has such good flavor, and it's
the chimichurri.
It's cooked like perfectly. If you're a medium person, great. If you're a well-done person, great. But I'm not even like medium well. I'm like medium plus a little. And they honestly know what that is.
And it works out good for us because the end pieces usually are more medium plus. The whole middle tends to be more of a medium, which is what me and Riley will eat. And then she has the other end can kind of go back to her. So it kind of works out for that too.
Yes. But
and that says they know what they're doing, because when you usually order medium plus and you're not in a good restaurant, they'll look at you like you're crazy, or they're bringing out medium well. And if you bring it out medium well, you might as well order the chicken. Right. So,
but then you have the chimichurri sauce, or the juice kind of soaks through down to the potatoes. The steak juice is sitting on the potatoes.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
I will say
the steak au jus.
Yes.
It is.
I will say their menu's not huge as far as entrees go. I'm looking at their menu right now just to pull it up. They have a short ribs and a chicken breast, which are individual entrees. And then they have the family style plates. They have a skirt steak, or they have right now a grill Holes Greek sea bass. But that's it as far as dinner entrees go. Like it's one of those restaurants, they know what they want to do and they do it super well. And I think that's what makes it so consistent is they're not trying to do 15, 20 different entree options. They've got ones that they've got down pat and they're great at it. And they're good with that.
So, now we haven't been,
awesome.
But I hear on the weekends they have a brunch as well with biscuits and gravy and some other things, French toast. And it's definitely something I'd like to check out eventually. It's just we never make it over there on the weekends for brunch, but I hear that's pretty good too.
It's probably not the brunch I would start with if I was going to Disney Springs, but I haven't done homecoming brunch yet, and you've given that one a rave review. So
gotta try it. All right, so we've had an appetizer, we had our entree, desserts. Do you guys usually get a dessert there?
She does. I tend to not because she doesn't really share her dessert, and I'm usually would rather just have more of the steak and potatoes for my dessert than the chocolate. Yeah. So she has dessert. I do not.
Riley's usually a dessert person too, but two things. One, she eats so much meat there that she's stuffed and can't literally just wants to go back to the room and like digest. Or if she doesn't eat that much because it's hot out or whatever, we've always got Gideon's across the way for cookies. But I have done dessert. I guess it's a dessert. It's under their dessert menu. It's called the Chocolate Experience, and they do a pairing of 3 chocolates and 3 wines. So you get 3 dessert wines. One is like a dark port, and then I forget what the other 2 are. I know they rotate, but and then they give you it's basically a square
white chocolate, dark chocolate,
the ganachery of white chocolate, a dark chocolate, and a milk chocolate. And then they walk you through how to like eat this chocolate and then drink this wine, and then eat this chocolate and drink this wine. And then they tell you to like switch it up and see how it changes the flavor of the wine and the flavor of the chocolate. And it really does. I've done it twice. It's not something I would have to do every time. It's not like, oh, that's a dessert that I just crave, but it's a fun experience if you've never played with like tasting wines with different items. They do have an olive oil cake with some lemon mascarpone and a key lime pie also, which are, $7 a piece. So that's significantly cheaper. But, if you're going to a wine bar, I feel like you've got to do the whole wine experience and get out there and try it.
So you mentioned that the servers come over, they kind of educate you as you go through the process. So overall service, what would you give them score-wise?
A 12.
I feel like we're cheating.
I was about to say 1 out of 10, but they're that good. They're 12.
It's a 12.
It's been phenomenal, and I really can't. And that's what I said. I feel like we're cheating because the first time we went, we had our server. His name was Mike, and he was new, and he was funny. He talked to us a little bit, but the second time we went, we asked for Mike, and he wasn't available. So they set us in Kiana's section. And if you are listening, like she is the one to ask for on your open table reservation, put Kiana's name and you can reach out to me. I will spell it out for you. I'm friends with her on Facebook now. And that's how our friendship started. She was waiting on us and she was like, you like Mike better than me? And I was like, well, I don't know you. And we just sat and talked and, she was joking around with us. And then we said, oh my gosh, you're such a great server. We would love to have you next time. She's like, put it on your open table reservation. So every time we go, we throw our name on there, and it's gotten to the point where our name and our phone number is on the open table reservation. And she would call and be like, I'm going to be there, but not until later. I'm going to be there earlier in the day. And so she was like, I'm going to give you a different server. And then she started changing her schedule so she could be there to wait on us.
We adjusted our times.
And we've adjusted our times. And it's one of those weird things where you don't expect to make friends with someone that, you meet in a restaurant at Disney, but she's fantastic. She's part of the Disney with the Ducks group now. She's the flock. She's wonderful.
A good deal. Love a place with great service. So overall, you're looking at the bang for the bill. How
for
would
the
you
three
rate
of us,
Wine
for
Bar
the
George?
three of us getting out of there with tip, we're under probably $175. So for Disney prices, I'm not kicking on that.
And
With
that's with
appetizers, desserts, drinks,
alcoholic beverages, which at Disney are always expensive. I didn't feel like that was that bad. And like when you first look at the price on the skirt steak, you're like, oh, $76. And you hear, well, it feeds 2 to 4 people, but you're thinking, really does it? I've been to restaurants, fancy restaurants that say serves 4 people. And I'm like, I must eat like a cow because that serves about 1.5 Carlies. But this really does. So when you split that price up at Disney,
right?
that's not
20
bad at
bucks for a meal.
all.
You can't beat
Not
that.
bad at all.
And then with the appetizers and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I 5 stars, highly recommend.
absolutely. And this was my go-to restaurant before marathon on marathon weekend because it's heavy protein. It's got the starches behind it. I got a little bit of the pasta with the mac and cheese bites, got a little bit of the carbs with the potatoes, and went real heavy protein before dinner. So this was my go-to.
So speaking of marathon weekend, when do you usually go to Wine Bar George?
We did it Saturday before the marathon, Saturday evening. So, and I hope to make that my plan for 2023 as well. So I'll bring you along.
Hey, thank you. I could be your plus one.
I think it'll be like we'll fill up
plus
a whole
Gene, so it'll be plus Gene, so that's plus 2,
and Kevin and Chad.
Plus 3.
That's the other thing. Like they fit a ton of us at a table downstairs when we went. We had
probably 9. There's probably 13 of us at a table downstairs one time over the summer a couple years ago,
and did an excellent job waiting on us. I didn't feel like we sat there and waited on food at all. I didn't feel like they were rushing to get us out so they could open up tables or anything. It was a very relaxed meal. And
so they have plenty of the big tables to put big parties at as well.
Yeah.
Well, and we had made it's one meal that we definitely have to do. So I know Jody's she's been officially named our we got to come up with a title for her. So she's gonna get all our reservations. But we need to come up with a nice
dining coordinator.
Right.
The Disney with the Ducks dining coordinator.
And we had originally, whenever we had the big group that went, we made 2 separate reservations on open table because you couldn't make parties that big at the same time. And they called me up a week ago. So we see 2 reservations for this. Is it 2 parties or 1? I said, it's 1 big party. Says, then we'll just combine it all together. And they made it 1 big reservation. It was no problem at all. So we had.
That's the other thing that's impressive. We have had open table reservations and my Disney experience reservations with several Disney Springs restaurants. I'm not going to name names, but 2 of them that we went to, they couldn't even find our reservation. They ended up seating us, but it took a while. Wine Bar George, I don't think we hardly ever wait for a table. It is always ready. If they have any questions about the reservation or if they notice that Kiana's not working, but we've requested her, they call us and let us know in advance. Like their communication with the staff is just, I've never seen anything like it at Disney.
I'll get a text from them the day of that says, hey, just so you know, your reservations, if you want to come earlier, we have time available if you want to.
Yeah.
And just let us know either way. So communication is fantastic.
So I feel like we should work for George.
Right?
He should give us
that's a win-win right there. That's some good service.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for making time out to share your experiences at Wine Bar George. Give me some other places you ate so we can kind of line up and do a couple more of these cheese and Quackers.
Oh, we're going to have a garden grill coming up.
We're going to hit Les Celliers for the very first time this summer. We've never eaten there, so I'm excited about that one.
We have Ale and Compass breakfast.
Yes.
Which we'll have a big group on, have to talk about that one, I think, because that was a good experience for us over marathon weekend. What else we have?
Oh my gosh.
Be Our Guest.
Boathouse and Be Our Guest and tons. I'm all excited.
Bless you. Well, look, we have some catching up to do to talk about food, which is my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, once again. And thank everyone for joining and watching or listening. If you like what you see, please 5 stars, if you don't mind. It just helps people find us. Of course, we're at Facebook. Feel free to join our group at Disney with the Ducks. Very positive, very motivating. A lot of activity. We're also on Instagram. Unfortunately, guys, Tinder, that was cut off. Only
Tinder,
Duck fan
man.
page, that was cut off because we didn't have any people coming on there. So
no one wanted to swipe.
well, we
right.
might give another chance. And we have something very special coming up in regards to Marathon Weekend. We mentioned it a couple of times. Jeff, you want to kind of talk about our special series that we're going to do weekly?
Starting the end of June of 2022, all the way through Marathon Weekend of 2023, we are going to be getting together every Sunday night around 9 o'clock. Just kind of discussing our training, how it's going, how it went the week before, what's coming up the next week, what kind of problems, challenges we ran into, any wins that we had for the week, and just kind of
release the Quackin'.
Yep, it's the Release the Quackin' series. So
hey, man, I am looking so forward to that as well. So
absolutely.
Good deal. Well, thanks, everybody. Have a great night. If you're listening to it at night, have a great day if you're sneaking and listening to it at work. And we'll catch you real soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Eat something good.